goals give more returns. Get more security and more interest on your fixed deposits from Sri Lanka's largest finance company, LMDtv Finance.
The key to quality and efficiency. Be a jewel. Professionalism is the jewel in the corporate crown.
Refresh Sri Lanka for a civic-minded society. In association with 99X. LMD, the voice of business.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. Tonight on the forum, we're zooming in on the tea industry, and with us, we have the Managing Director of Asia Siyaka Commodities, Anil Cooke. Mr. Cooke, it's very nice to have you on the show.
My pleasure, Ruwandi. Thank you for asking me, and glad to be with you on the show.
To start off our discussion, Ceylon Tea has drawn the crown for the world's reigning brand of tea for centuries. However, in recent years, we've seen that the industry has been challenged by everything from the Easter tax to now the economic crisis. Against this backdrop, can you share your assessment of the industry and how it's performing at the moment?
It's ironic because when we talk of this country on the whole, it's always about resilience and how do we negotiate situations that are often beyond our control, and what we do to get by. And perhaps not enough time and effort is invested in actually getting on with the business of being in business or doing something right, and having a plan and making it happen. So yes, we have gone through insurrections, a 30-year war, and a lot of it was at our doorstep as far as the tea industry was concerned. The bombings, COVID, and in each instance, we have stayed open, stayed relevant, and continued to service our customers around the world. And it's a key aspect of that, and an unknown value of Ceylon Tea is its ability to deal with problems and continue as our engagement with tea drinkers around the world. It's easy to sum that up in a couple of sentences, but when we were to think that the massive amount of planning and execution, courage and wisdom that goes in at all levels, from the farmers determined to go out to work, even in COVID, the estate workers who were cared for during that same period, and the tea factories in around the country and the packing plants. I mean, we continued our level of value addition throughout COVID. Now, that in itself is another story and the subject of further discussion later. But I would think that we have this ability to cope with crisis. And the worst one was when we foisted a national policy on this industry that really caused us a huge setback in terms of our fertilizer and agrochemical ad hoc decisions, without consideration or hearing the voices of the stakeholders. So that we are still recovering from, and we have some way to go. Tea production this year is only just about in line with last year, which was a bad year. And we need to get back to around 300 million kilograms annually as a country. That's a critical part of it. And I might add really that what we did during COVID, an industry that had the most successful outcry auction system for more than 125 years, had to reinvent itself. And our trade did that in under 10 days. I'll repeat that. In under 10 days, we had the genius of our software developers, the strategic thinking and conversion of the thought process into a digital platform. And the willingness and the ability of an entire group of people, brokers, buyers, sellers, to be able to go online and start buying tea was remarkable. And everyone else in the world of tea was in lockdown mode during COVID. And Ceylon Tea was up and running, and our entire value chain gained tremendously from that. The IMF made a movie about it, and it was the subject that was discussed by many international bodies around the world. And hats off to everyone. And we are still developing this software, and I think it's now whispered that the Kenyans are looking at our package, talking to our same software people in order to see if they can adapt our product to their needs. But here we are. Sri Lanka manages to do that. So it was a spectacular achievement, I would think, if I might say so myself. Yeah.
So we've been setting the bar and raising it.
Yeah, because the product, the software is being developed on a weekly. I mean, this is an ongoing process. We just created the base to relaunch ourselves, and then weekly, monthly, the product is evolving and meeting new standards and new value propositions for all users. Yeah.
Anil, we see that Ceylon tea prices keep rising and falling, and of course they are affected by everything from the weather to labor issues and fluctuations of the rupee. From what you've been observing, what are the controllable factors that affect our tea prices, and how should we be controlling them?
Outside OPEC, I think you dare not talk about control in terms of globally traded products, right? Even they are still trying to get it right. But what we control is the quality and excellence of Ceylon tea. Now we are the custodians of that. We are also the custodians of 150 plus year tradition of making orthodox black tea. We've had Chinese tea masters visiting us and saying, look, we neglected this, and this tradition of and development of the orthodox tea manufacturing process has remained in Sri Lanka, and you have done wonders with it. So that is an element that we control. It's in our hands. We also control the trust and relationships we have with more than buyers in more than 150 countries across the world. So these are elements that are built by our tea producers, our marketers, who amongst the most innovative and are definitely leaders as from the producer country's point of view. We have the highest level of value addition. Now we have employed current packaging techniques. We have great printing and design capacity. That is total. If you talk of Michael Porter's clustering of talent and capacity and capability, we have one of the largest tea packing capacities, tea bagging capacities of any producer countries in the world in one location. So that creates a synergy by itself. There's much that Ceylon tea has to that works for it. We have the powerful auction system, transparent, delivering value to producers year in, year out, disciplined, and it works brilliantly. As an outcry system, as a digital platform, the e-auction is also. These are key elements that we work. And what we need to control additionally is to be a more reliable supplier of tea to the market. Now, this is partially an issue with climate change, but that applies to everyone else. And then we have to overcome the self-inflicted wounds of our national policies and get back to the kind of volumes that we can deliver, value added, ideally, with to our customers around the world. Now, we also have a very high percentage of value addition in the country. I mean, the concept of value addition sometimes is over-discussed at its basic level. Putting tea in a tea bag is great. Having your own brands is far superior. Having a beautifully designed package is one, but are you packing it for someone who owns it up the value chain? And is the fat really being gathered in a supermarket or a brand owner elsewhere? So Sri Lanka has always led the way in terms of value addition, and we have further invested in the ready-to-drink teas. It's seen as it started growing when Pepsi and Coke and the big brands started getting into it more than 30 years ago. But we have now increased our capacity to be in this market. We are also making teas that are used in this. Say, for example, Sri Lanka is now the largest exporter of black tea to China, one of the world's largest producers. In fact, it is. But in terms of black tea, they're not a big player. And there is a whole generation of Chinese consumers who are drinking Ceylon tea in different ways, in a cooler PET bottle or as a RTD, or even as a warm beverage. So we are working on the areas that are critical to redefining who we are, because if you want to be a leader, you have to behave like one. We can't wait to be directed by circumstances out there in the world. And I would think another critical aspect is sustainability. Now it's again an overused phrase, but it is critical for us. We need to be sustainable for our own estates, for our own environment, for our own people. I mean, if you think about it, most of the water comes around that services the entire country. It comes from tea growing areas up in the mountains or around the rainforest. So we are custodians of all of this environmental responsibility. And we are also looking to do what's right for ourselves. And there's an active movement, an organized movement, but perhaps we'll talk about it a little later, that the industry has initiated for itself. So there's much that we are continually working on to redefine ourselves.
You've been mentioning many important aspects for me to ask you a lot of questions on. Let's focus first on value additions. So you mentioned how we sell different types of tea differently to different customers, from bags to bottles. So in your view, if we were to draw up like a portfolio map for the island's tea offering, what should be our stars? What should be our cash cows?
First, I think common sense would dictate that we protect what we have and then look to see what we can be, right? So in terms of what we have is we are big suppliers, and in many countries in North Africa and the Middle East and in other parts of the world, we are the number one suppliers of black tea. Now, this is not about, for example, let me take an example of Kenya is the number one supplier of black tea to, say, Pakistan and Egypt. This is tea for price, loyalty built on offering a cost-effective product that is consumed in each country's culture. But we are looking at people who pay a premium in the world of tea, because we are also the highest cost tea producer. So we have to leverage our markets to give a better price down the value chain. We can't have this storage of, profit and fat up alone. I mean, that has to trickle down as well. So we are pushing our own brands, are striving and are taking Ceylon tea all the way up the value chain. We as an industry are looking at the products we make. We've had to cope with the consequences of our fertilizer policies and climate change as well. That has impacted the taste of tea. It was greater for us, I would think, where crops declined, and at the same time, it's become the temperatures have been shooting up, rainfall has been inconsistent. After all, in agriculture, it's a critical thing. And we've had to adapt to those. But in terms of getting value, we are working quickly to get back to where we were in terms of product excellence as our base product. And we should get there soon. And we are when we say we're talking about the whole industry, but there are areas of excellence that have recovered faster than others. For example, there are pockets of low country teas, orthodox black teas, factories and growing regions that are doing exceptionally well. They're getting a premium over everyone else. There's some wonderful work coming out of regional plantation companies in terms of their investment in technology and forward thinking in terms of what the world needs in the future. We have a whole generation of new consumers that are coming in. Now, the Sri Lankan regional plantation companies are world leaders. We have the first carbon neutral tea plantation company. These people started work 10 years ago. That is the kind of vision that we have amongst the people who are doing right and are looking to the future. There's another 5 companies that have got certification of a wide range of compliances in terms of sustainable conduct. That's at all levels: people, planet, product hygiene, and so much more. So this, again, is an area that we are leading. We need to do more because everyone's watching us. There's a lot more to do. But we also have this new wave of artisanal teas, high value, small quantities, made by specialists, passionate people who have started, say, for example, making it in an organic way. Others are doing it even at estates. They are going back and discovering 100, 150-year-old tea plants that have grown into being trees and discovered new value opportunities for differentiation. So there's this new wave of artisanal teas that is catching on, and it's being well received by markets. It will be ideal for sale and engagement with people visiting Sri Lanka. But what is exciting is many specialty tea buyers are coming out and from around the world, and they are picking up these teas at a significant premium to what is going on at auction level and in terms of the larger volumes. So this is a new phenomenon for us. It was always there, but it's growing, and I believe that even this relationship between tea and tourism will benefit from these artisanal producers because it will encourage. We are growing tea tourism as well. We have the high-end 5-star boutique establishments that have been there for some time. There are more that have come up with the tea specialty. And we have people who want to go and sit in an artisanal tea maker's little cabana and spend a couple of days, engage with the villagers who are making those teas, talk about tea and be part of it. So there's a lot of exciting things that are coming up in Ceylon Tea, and we are quite optimistic that they would be positive for us.
Talking of excitement, it's very exciting to hear that the patented Ceylon Tea Wine is going to hit the market soon. Can you shed some light on this development for our audience, please?
Yeah, let's say. So I don't think the Sri Lankan population knows a little bit about wine and other forms of fermented beverages, alcohols, if you were to put it simply. But what's encouraging is that this tea wine opens up a whole new opportunity as well. One, as a beverage you can drink by itself, but there is another movement that is developing in Sri Lanka. It's an engagement between the Tea Board, the Tea Traders Association, and the Hotel School Graduates Association. And there's this movement to improve tea service in the leisure sector in the country. And it's been championed through a competition. So it encourages everyone to go through. We have the Tea Master Cup. That is a new innovation that has come in the last few years. We encourage tea brewing and tea and food pairing and tea mixology. This lends itself perfectly with the new wine that has come up. So we have mixology. When we talk of non-alcoholic and alcoholic beverages that you can make out of brewed tea as an iced beverage or even a warm beverage. And this is an innovation that is being promoted and encouraged amongst the hotels of Sri Lanka, cafes and restaurants as well. So it's a perfect fit, and its timing is spot on. And I'm quite confident that the adoption will be great. I haven't had the opportunity of tasting it yet, but I'm certainly looking forward to that.
It's time to take a short break, but we'll soon be back to talk more about tea.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
You're mobile, and so are we.
Gets me going.
Grab the Lite 87 app at the Apple App Store or Google Play now.
87.8 and 87.6 island-wide. Lite 87.
Welcome back to the show. Tonight, we're talking to Anil Cooke, the Managing Director of Siyaka Commodities, on Ceylon Tea. Anil, we spoke a lot about product innovations, but if we go back to process innovations, out of which, of course, you mentioned the biggest, which is how we transformed a age-old auction into a digital platform in under 10 days. So what do you think is the next development when it comes to embracing digital technologies that we can expect?
One thing we see from by going digital as far as the auction is concerned is big data analysis, understanding our customers' needs, profiling our products in terms of trends, and we will see obviously AI tools coming into enhancing this process. I hope AI doesn't make the culture and ethos of tea tasting obsolete. I hope they don't come up with a machine that makes us obsolete. But you know what, it's a highly underrated talent, and we find there's a lot of young people who are eager to join the tea industry and who are bringing this new enthusiasm for tea tasting. And this pairing of tea and food is a whole new development of understanding taste in terms of whether it's a tea with the dessert or warm with your breakfast, or the choice of tea you consume during the time of day. And the balancing of these tastes is a whole new growing area. But technology is coming into the factories, has been coming into the factories. We have the most advanced color sorting machines. I think Sri Lanka, as an leading orthodox producer, has access to the latest technology in terms of what we call color sorting for grading and cleaning teas and so on. People are using software and other technology for improving production at factory level. There's huge amount of high technology being employed at value addition stage. Our marketers are using the very latest tea bagging technology that is available, and packing and whatever else that's going on in terms of fermentation and so on. So what's great about Sri Lanka is that the cluster that we have in Colombo, and the factory small is beautiful, and we have now, thanks to our wonderful network of roads, a tea that is packed up in the hills or deep down in Deniai can reach Colombo in 5-6 hours or even less. And this creates this whole aspect of freshness and quick to first to market. So that technology level at the auction and logistics, we have the most advanced auction logistics. That is the latest reach trucks, racking systems, storage mechanism that make the tea that is so carefully and made out of with so much consideration is handled at the highest level when it comes to the sale. And it creates value through quick movement from the point of sale into the value addition process of the marketers and the exporters in the country. So there's much that is going on, that this is evolving. We've added more capacity than that. When I talk about this logistics support system to the auction, it's not available anywhere else in any other producer country. So we've been up there. We have this is not just technology. We have the world's first green logistics center as well. So it's a perfect fit with our aspirations for being carbon neutral for ourselves. So it's all happened.
We've been talking so much about so many developments happening around Ceylon tea, and it's absolutely exciting. And like you said, everyone loves our tea all over the world. If we zoom in on people back home, on Sri Lankans who, of course, drink 2 to 3 cups of tea a day, how good are we at knowing our teas and marketing our teas? When I say we, I mean the general public. How tea savvy are we?
That's something that we've been talking about for a while. My children seem to know more about coffee at the store down there than they know about tea. And in early years, I think the fact that tea was grown and exported, many people perceived at national level that the tea on offer in Sri Lanka was not good enough for export. And it was something that was made for them, not for us. Now that is changing. That was changing. Unfortunately, the Easter bombings and disruption to tourism and so on had this impact on the local market as well, COVID and whatever. But we are seeing a whole wider range of teas being offered to Sri Lankans. And this would lend I'm hoping that when, as people have a little more discretionary income, they would start seeking out this the greater choice that is available. So our marketers are actually offering a whole range from single estate to teas that are sold by grade. I mean, we never had a grade on a label as a differentiator of a tea when it's offered to the public. So that's other thing. And what we are encouraging the new ambassadors for Ceylon tea, as much as the French, you could meet any French person anywhere and they would have a half an hour chat with you about French wine and they would know enough about it to be an ambassador for their product. That is our aspiration for all Sri Lankans. To embrace this, we see a whole range of bunch of young kids who are now trekking through the estates and they can understand a lot more of the impact of environment and climate and the sheer absolute beauty of what we've been gifted, in terms of nature and everything that's around tea. So that really is a critical element, and we are working through this in terms of encouraging every restaurant, cafe, hotel, and so on to offer a portfolio of teas rather than just come and stick a tea bag and push that cup in front of you and there's no conversation about what that experience is going to be. Yes, there's much we need to do there, and we've started that, but we have a long way to go, I must say.
Anil, my next question revolves around LMD's own campaign, Refresh Sri Lanka, which we launched to create a mindset change, to create a more civic-minded society. When we look at driving global demand for Ceylon tea, how important is civic-mindedness?
Yeah, I would say it's at the heart of any proposition. For example, we don't need a little kid from somewhere in Scandinavia to try and tell us that we have to care for our environment, that we have to be conscious of the resources that we consume, the public and our own resources, and how we conduct our business in terms of caring for the environment and our own people. If, in fact, we can't get these right, then we are doomed to fail. And your focus, this initiative is a critical aspect. After all, tea is also a food item. So producing it responsibly for people in this country and out there in the world who are consuming it with trust is a critical aspect. So, there's a multi-dimensional approach and responsibility for all of us. And we've all learned that governance and caring for each other cannot be outsourced to the state. And if we don't get this right, we've had a rude awakening. We are under immediate threat. We have not reached a happily ever after state, and we have a lot more work to do. So this is the sum of a collective responsibility of each of us. And we strongly advocate this initiative. And the more we do in terms of reaching people, a whole new generation, starting with the youngest and working upwards, making it part of our basic curriculum at school and in homes. And even if we as parents don't get it right, let our kids come and tell us how best we should conduct ourselves. And thank you for this. It's a great initiative.
Anil, it's been a delightful conversation and you've spoken of so many exciting things. And before we let you go, any final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
I like your point about how we can make every Sri Lankan an ambassador for Ceylon tea. Go to your store and look for the different products. Try them. Find a niche for yourselves. We have enough access to the internet and discover more. Talk to people who are connected with the industry and inform oneself of this. And look for to try and experience the wide choice of Ceylons that you have. Which part of the country do you live? How does it best brew in the water that you have? Have you looked around the regions that are grown? And actively search for more tea, just not more, but a wider choice, and learn more about it. We are always there to help you with your search, and do become an ambassador for Ceylon tea. That's what I'd love to happen.
We've been talking with the Managing Director of Asia Siyaka Commodities, Anil Cooke. It's been a delight talking to you. Thank you very much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Look forward to another occasion. Great pleasure. Thank you.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.